see you 14 minutes from now, of course. Well, pundits and overnight polls have Mitt Romney as the big winner in last night's presidential debate. Taxes played a big role in last night's face-off.
The fact is that if you are lowering the rates the way you described, Governor, then it is not possible to come up with enough deductions and loopholes that only affect high-income individuals to avoid either raising the deficit or burdening the middle class. It's math. It's arithmetic.
I don't have a $5 trillion tax cut. I don't have a tax cut of the scale that you're talking about. My view is that we ought to provide tax relief to people in the middle class. But I'm not going to reduce the share of taxes paid by high-income people.
And we have two different views on last night's debate. Christian Dorsey is Democratic strategist. Kyriakos is a former advisor to President George W. Bush. And Christian, I want to start with you. I want to talk about this $4 trillion deficit plan from President Obama that he talked about last night. He said he has proposed a specific $4 trillion deficit reduction plan, but our research, call them the brain room, they're the best. They say, look, he's already banking a lot of legislation that has already passed when he says he's going to be reducing the deficit by $4 trillion. Is Mr. Obama being fair? Is he being honest with the American people, Christian?
He's counting things that have already been agreed to as part of the Budget Control Act. There's about $1 trillion there. He's also counting winding down the wars in Afghanistan. All of it adds up to $4 trillion. These are real numbers. These actually are indisputable numbers. Whether or not he should count them all as part of his plan is certainly up to political debate, but there is no arguing that the amounts that he is talking about add up to $4 trillion in deficit reduction.
All right, Kyriakos, Mr. Romney got hit pretty hard last night on the $5 trillion. That was the big amount that Mr. Romney kept getting stinged on by President Obama. Was President Obama right in saying that Mitt Romney's numbers did not add up?
No, he wasn't right, because what Romney's proposing is lowering tax rates, getting people back to work. People back to work are going to generate tax revenues. That's where he's going to make it up. And he never said that he was going to cut, that the taxes on the rich were going to make up for the deficit. He never said that, and President Obama kept saying that. The plan works, and he had to explain it to President Obama several times, because obviously he didn't get how that works.
All right. I want you both to listen to this soundbite from last night. This is Mitt Romney talking about the offshoring of businesses and tax deductions there. Listen to this.
Which is, you said you get a deduction for taking a plant overseas? Look, I've been in business for 25 years. I have no idea what you're talking about. I maybe need to get a new accountant. But the idea that you get a break for shipping jobs overseas is simply not the case.
Christian, was Governor Romney right on that point?
No, he was actually wrong. There's a provision in the tax code, the repatriation of earnings that do not subject to income tax, money that's held offshore. In effect, incentivizing companies to offshore jobs and keep that money outside of the United States. So I don't know where the governor was confused, but actually that's something that is a part of the tax code. He was wrong about that.
Well, no, there is no offshoring tax. I mean, if you shut down a plant, Christian, fair enough, but there is no such thing as a break for moving jobs overseas, and that's how the president was characterizing that to Mitt Romney. So, in fact, it seems Mitt Romney was actually correct, Christian.
No, there's no tax provision that specifically says you're going to get a tax cut for offshoring. But in effect, if you do offshore, you receive a tax benefit by keeping those earnings overseas. So the net effect is the same, even if it's called something different.
Okay, Kyriakos, how did you respond to that? How would your former boss have responded to that?
I agree with you. The way the president laid it out and implied is that, sure, take your jobs overseas, you get a tax credit. That's just not right. It's wrong, and it didn't play out well, and Mitt Romney is correct. Look, I'm in small business. I've been in business for 25 years myself. I've never heard of such a thing.
All right,
maybe I need to get a new accountant too. And I don't know if Christian is in small business or even business at all. But I'll tell you, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I have been in small businesses, but we're not talking about small businesses here. We're talking about major corporations.
So
it doesn't matter.
Corporations. It doesn't work that way. You do not get a cut or a break for moving your company overseas. You don't do that.
You
What's happening
do
is a
by
lot of the
having your
policies-
earnings overseas.
A lot
That's
of the
absolutely
policies that
indisputable.
President Obama has put in place are causing people to go overseas because he's talking about raising the corporate tax rate. Last night he's talking about lowering it. When people don't understand, when
Carrie, he's
corporations
never
don't know where
proposed
we're
that.
going with this, of course
No.
they're forcing the moves overseas. That's what's
Carrie,
happening.
he has
There is no
proposed from
credit
day
for that.
one to actually lower the corporate tax rate.
Why
That's
hasn't he
something
done
that's
it?
very clear.
He's had 4 years to do it. Why hasn't he done it?
All right.
There
Why
is
hasn't he done
something
it?
called the Congress, which actually doesn't
Right,
support
which
the
he
president's
can't even
policies.
control. He can't bring people together. He's the chief.
Right.
He's the president. He's supposed to be bringing the House and the Senate together, and he can't do it.
Gentlemen,
that's why nothing's
gentlemen,
happening.
You are both invited back, by the way. I would love to have you back for the next debate. Christian Dorsey, Kyriakos Zouras. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good scrap.